This morning's number is 400%. Republicans raised more than 400% more than Democrats for the party's Senate super-PAC and similar groups to attempt to win the Georgia Senate race. GOP donors gave $95 million to their party's Senate super-PAC and party committee between Election Day and November 23rd. That's more than 4 times as much as the $18 million that Democrats gave similar groups over the same period. The GOP has been spending heavily to help Senators David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler hold their seats in the January 5th runoff. If they do win in Georgia, they hold onto control of the Senate. But the two Democrats, Jon Ossoff and Reverend Raphael Warnock, drew much more when it came to small dollar online donations than their rivals during that time, raising enough money to stay competitive. But the difference in money raised is manifesting itself certainly in ad spending. The Republican candidates and their allies have booked $161.6 million in airtime in Georgia so far. That compares to just $118.3 million for Democrats. Bloomberg government reporter Emily Wilkins joins us now from Washington. Emily, it's great to have you here with us today. So catch us up to speed because you were on the ground in Georgia just last week. It was a big weekend. What happened down there?
Very big weekend, Tim. So we started on Saturday night. Trump held a rally in South Georgia. Thousands of people turned out. The president was there to encourage them to cast their votes for Republicans, Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue. He technically did do that, but he spent most of the speech airing his own grievances, talking about how the election had been stolen from him. At this point, a number of Republicans are worried that some voters hearing about voting fraud that happened on November 3rd are going to be hesitant to come out to the polls for the January 5th runoff. However, it seems like that group is in the minority. But then again, it's going to be a close race, so every vote here is going to count.
So does his focus on claims of a rigged election and voter fraud and the fact that he repeatedly said that he actually won the state, which of course he did not, does that hurt the GOP, not just in Georgia, but moving forward too?
I think a lot of that does remain to be seen. I spoke with a number of people as they were leaving the rally, and basically everyone told me that they were planning to vote in the runoff, even though everyone believed these allegations of fraud, which, Tim, we should just point out to everyone, at this point, none of them have been proven in the courts. We don't have any credible claims at this time. But it will be interesting going forward to see how Republican voters react to the system, whether they get more confidence in the system after the runoff, and what happens going forward.
Okay, Emily, so at his rally, the president called on Georgia Republicans to vote for the two GOP senators. And get this, even request absentee ballots. I think there was even a sign. I watched part of the rally over the weekend, and I think there were signs up behind talking about voting absentee and requesting absentee ballots. But President Trump has railed against absentee ballots, railed against mail-in voting. Explain the mixed messaging here, because he spent the last month talking about how so much of this has led to fraudulent, again, unfounded, totally unfounded, led to fraudulent outcomes throughout the country.
Trump has always been very interesting when he's spoken about absentee ballots. He railed against them while he himself used an absentee ballot to vote in the state of Florida for the general election. So this is something we've kind of seen a lot from Republicans. We've seen this railing against absentee ballots. On the other side, other Republican groups and Republican candidates for Senate and House were encouraging people to use absentee ballots. I think what this speaks to at the end is that this is an all hands on deck situation. Republicans know what's on the line. Democrats know what's on the line. Everyone wants to turn out as many people as they possibly can, and they're willing to promote any method to do so.
Okay, well, somebody who did not turn out this weekend is Senator David Perdue. He did not show up to his debate against his challenger, Jon Ossoff. What is the significance of that empty lectern right there?
So David Perdue and Jon Ossoff did have a debate back in October, and it did not go very well for Senator Perdue. There were a couple of clips that came from it that the Ossoff campaign was successfully used against him in ads and in the time very close to the election. Some people think that Perdue's debate performance is why this race is in a runoff to begin with. And so I don't think it was a huge surprise to anyone that Perdue did not wind up coming to this debate. Jon Ossoff was still there. He took questions from reporters. He made a couple remarks. And then we went on to Kelly Loeffler and Raphael Warnock's debate later in the evening. Both attempted to paint the others out of touch with voters. while avoiding some of the most critical questions on either side of the party.
Bloomberg Government's Emily Wilkins in Washington. Emily, thanks for your time. We appreciate it.
The biggest stories the moment they happen from around the globe. Subscribe to Bloomberg Quick Take now for insight in an instant.